So I'm Sarah, and I have done an apple cider vinegar video in the past, but I thought I would do another one because I'm about to make a batch. I actually referred back to my first apple cider vinegar video to see how we did it the first time around. And my last one, I actually did it in 3 parts because it is a bit of a gradual process. It is an easy process, it's something that's really simple to do, but it requires patience. I gather there are shorter ways of doing it, but I just don't think it's quite as good. So when we do it, we tend to do a big batch. I think the last batch I did was 2 years ago, and we're just now on our last bottle. Now, of course, I'm gonna aim to fill the bucket up. We'll see how much we get from the apples. You can use the whole apple for this, by the way. Pips, stalks, everything. Last time I did it, I got fussy and chopped out any little brown spots, and I chopped out the cores. I've recently found out that people use just those things to make cider vinegar with. Some people, if they're making applesauce and they peel the apple and chop the core out, they put the apple and the core to one side to make cider vinegar with. So I was wrong on that count. I'm also going to do some in a clear jar because it helps to be able to see what is going on. And if we put some in a clear jar, of course I can't see here, but I can see here what will be going on. So if I do these at the same time, I can assume what's going on in here is also going on in here. I'm gonna require helpers. Who wants a knife?
Me!
I like to live dangerously. Here's our haul. So we're just cutting them into bits. So if you just cut them like into quarters and then maybe into half, just like that. Now, apple cider vinegar has a range of uses. Some people use it for rinsing their hair out instead of conditioner. Some people use it as their skin. They reckon it's good for you. Olivia absolutely loves it in a drink. Some boiled water with a couple of tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in. I actually really like that as well. I think that's an acquired taste. Some people put a teaspoon of honey in as well. But also I use it for our chickens. Every now and then I'll put some apple cider vinegar mixed in with their water, just once a fortnight or so. Apparently it helps to keep worms at bay. It makes the chicken a bit less desirable for worms to inhibit. Also, it can be used as a cleaning product, the same way you would use white vinegar. I think the only drawbacks is that normally apple cider vinegar is more expensive. I mean, when you spray it on, it's kind of got that murky appearance. It doesn't look like you're cleaning, and it's a lot harder to disguise the smell of it like you can with white vinegar. You can add orange peels or something in with it, or you can add essential oils to make it smell nice. I think that's a bit harder to do with apple cider vinegar. Right. We have got this full of apples. The next thing to do is top this up. Now, you want to do a water and sugar mixture. You only need about quarter as much sugar as you have water. So like with 2 cups of water, you want half a cup of sugar. So I'll do the easy bit first. There we go, so that's pretty well dissolved. Put that in here. Oh, that's perfect for that jar. Now, before we put the cover on this, we need to make sure that the bits of apple are not, because of course fruit, it wants to float. You have to make sure it's not popping up out over the top, otherwise that's just going to get mould on it. So if you look here, you'll actually see that there is a gap underneath. That means that the fermentation has not started yet. You can fill a Ziploc bag up with water, chuck that in there, weigh it down. Oh, there we go. Look at that, that'll do the trick. I've got an old lid from my random collection of old lids that actually fits in there perfectly. So if I can just weigh that down a bit to hold the apples under the level of the water. Just found a stone outside. That's just going to keep that weighed down. There we go, I don't need to use a Ziploc bag. So that will just keep them under the surface. You can see they're still floating. So Just need a chucks cloth or a muslin cloth or something, just something that's got, you know, little holes so that it can still breathe, but little bugs and stuff aren't going to get into it basically. Rubber band or hair tie, you know, whatever you got on hand. So we need to leave this for about 3 days. After 3 days, we should start seeing little bubbles start appearing. That basically means that the fermentation process is beginning. Yay! So you just want to leave it in a cool, dark place, maybe at the back of your pantry or something. We've actually got an old fridge that is not currently working in our shed that I used to stick stuff like this in. Okay, we are back. This has been fermenting for 60 days. We've just taken the lid off it. So we'll need a secondary bucket, a nice clean secondary bucket. This is our jar from earlier. You'll see the apples, they're not floating off the bottom anymore. They have completely sunk. Put the muslin over the bucket. It's going to get a little pot and chuck it from here into here. Going to get this jar with another muslin cloth, just to empty this jar in. There we go. We've got a thing like that. You might also notice when you first take the lid off this that there's a bit of a layer of white scum on top. That is actually a good thing. It is perfectly normal. I didn't find it this time. I did last time I made this. So I'm hoping it's working. It certainly is starting to get that very distinctive vinegary smell. Of course, the apples that you scoop out, they'll be good for if you've got piggies or compost. See how much liquid we've ended up with. Now, you'll notice that is very, very murky looking, which is a very good thing, because that's what we want. We'll get some clean muslin cloths, cover these up again, and we are going to put this back into a cool, dark place for another 60 days, and then we will decant it. Hello, we are back. Gerald the crocodile has come to help us.
Gretel's tail is.
Gretel.
And
so, this is about ready now. If we have a look in this jar, we will see there's some white scummy stuff there that looks particularly gross. That's actually a good thing. That is beneficial bacteria, basically. Now, each time I do this, it varies. Sometimes there's only a really, really thin white film. Sometimes it's a bit thicker. But it's a good sign that the bacteria is doing its thing. It is producing some nice vinegar. We are going to strain this again, and then we can bottle it. I mean, it shouldn't taste yummy, it should taste like apple cider vinegar, which is quite... Ugh.
I like apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
Ah! Yep, that's vinegar. It's actually very nice and refreshing. 1 or 2 tablespoons in a cup of hot water. It's actually very nice. That tastes just as it should. Funnel.
I like this lid. Can I poke it?
So, as you can see, that is lovely and cloudy. It will actually settle down over time. It will go a bit clearer and all the sediment will settle to the bottom. So, you know, just each time give it a bit of a tip before you use it. I'm aware that people do this just with like their scraps. They keep all the skins and cores and stuff and just put them in a jar. Of course, I like to do it en masse because, you don't get much from just a jar. You have to keep doing it. I just like to put in a big effort once a year. And this will be more than enough to see us happy for the rest of the year. I usually give a bottle to my parents, they quite like it as well. Right, Olivia's made us a hot water with apple cider vinegar in it. Cheers!
Cheers! Cheers! Cheers! Cheers!
It's quite nice. It's not to everyone's taste, you know, it's on the tangy sort of vinegary side, but it's quite, somehow it just feels cleansing. You know what I mean? Not cheersing you. 7 and a bit bottles of apple cider vinegar.
Plus some
Which-
drinks.
Plus the stuff we're drinking now. So there we go. As you only use it in little bits, of course, it lasts for ages. That'll do us for the rest of the year until next wild apple foraging season. So there we go. Hit like, leave us a comment, subscribe. Thanks for apple cider vinegar.
Yes! Season.